Guys, this is OffTopicGames, and we have a deck profile for you on Magus.
Alright, so in the Magus deck, there weren't a lot of grade 3s that you could run, so me and my friends, we decided on running for the break ride. So when you ride over this with an Oracle Think Tank unit, give the Vanguard power plus 10,000, check the top 3 cards, add 1 to your hand, and put the 2 on top of the deck in any order. We use this mainly because it's better than Pentagonal Magus in our opinions. And then we also run 4 Ring Magus, which gives you card advantage when it's on the rearguard circle, as well as when it's on the backguard circle. And we didn't want to build this deck around finishing people with grade 3s, rather than just trying to out-advantage our opponents. So that's why we run Ring Magus. Next we run 4 Rhombus Magus, because even though we're not trying to finish people with the deck, we need some form of power. So this unit gains plus 5,000 when you declare the top card of your deck right, like on attack. So it's a pretty strong card, and you should always know the top card of your deck. Next we run 3 Stellar Magus. This is the main draw power of the deck. When you attack a Vanguard, counterblast 1, declare the top card of the deck. If you get it correct, draw it, and if you get it wrong, you can unflip, which is pretty good. Next we run 2 Brilliant Magus to carry us through the early game. It's kind of like when you don't know the top card of the deck, it can fill you in. Basically what it does is, on play, Soul Blast 1 and draw the top card of your deck, and then put this on top of the deck. So it combos really well with like Stellar Magus. Next we run Silent Tom, which is kind of like the main finisher of the deck. Basically what happens is when you swing with this, they can't guard with Greyjoy, so it's really strong. Next we run 4 Perfect Guards so we don't die. 3 Stride Fodder, because you need to stride in this deck, it's the bread and butter play. 3 Crescent Magus. This card is really good. You need to put it behind Tom in order for it to hit good lanes. What this does is, when you boost, declare the top card of your deck. If you get it correct, gains power plus 3k, which basically makes it a 9k booster, which fixes lanes. Next is Octagon Magus. This is like a tech choice. You don't have to run it if you don't want to run it, but I personally like it. Basically, when you guard with this, declare the top card of your deck. If you get it correct, it gains 10,000 guard. So it becomes a 15k guard. So even if you're going to guard, like, say 15k, you play this for your 5k, declare the top card, even if you don't know it. Like, if you get lucky, it becomes a 15k guard. If not, you're playing a 10k like you normally would. So there's no minus in playing this, just like a plus if you get it right. Next is Cone Magus. We run 2 of it. Unflips damage if you declare the top card of your deck. And it's also good for just knowing the top card of your deck if you don't know it already, because it's expendable. Next we run 4 Psychic Bird, which is the crit trigger. You can soul charge it from the rear guard and you get the draw card. Really strong if you don't want to like drive check the top card of your deck, if you don't have like a draw power card on the rear guard. Next is our foily Kusanagi. So when you're on a Susano Vanguard, soul charge it, give the Vanguard plus 5,000 power, and draw the top card of the deck. We run it because it's foily and it can draw you a card. Now next, this is the interesting part that was recommended by my friend. 4 stand triggers. It's really good because you swing with the rear guards a lot sometimes. Like, if you don't want to drive check the top card of your deck because you know it already, you swing with your rear guard to draw the card, so that it fixes your drive check. So stand triggers are really powerful in this deck. It nets a lot of advantage if hit correctly. And then lastly, we run 4 heals for the rest of our triggers. Lizenji Magus, because you can shuffle it back, so it's just better than any other, I guess other than Circle Magus, but they're the same thing. And then our starter, we run the Semi-Lunar Magus, I think that's what it is. So basically, when it boosts a Magus, you can declare the top card. If you get it correct, soul charge it, draw 2 cards. It's just, again, for netting advantage. And then our stride deck, we run 4 Globe Magus, because Globe Magus is OP, and it's the only way the deck works, otherwise the deck would be terrible. And then we run 2 Takemikuzuchis, because if you don't have any cards in hand, you're dying, and this is the way to get cards in hand. Basically what it does is, if you are at G break 2, or if you have 2 cards in your G zone, counterblast 2, check the top 4, add 2 to your hand, and put the rest to the bottom. Really strong just to try and get you back into the game. And then last, we run the Susano Strides, because I don't know, they're just I thought they were better than anything else. It gives power to rear guards, and you make pretty decent lanes in this deck. And then it also has synergy with your crit trigger. So kind of like the rides that you want to make in this deck. Like grade 1, it doesn't matter what you ride. You kind of want to hold on to these. But grade 2, your most optimal ride is probably the Stellar Magus, because this is how you net a lot of your advantage just from having this on your Vanguard. It's basically like giving you 2 drive checks, especially if you have it comboed with the starter behind it, because you can always like declare for starter. If you get it wrong, declare for Vanguard, and then you can draw the card. Just really easy plays. And then also, don't be afraid to ride the break ride, because the deck is already slow as it is. So even though like break rides are really slow in this format, it's still not terrible, because you're always going to be drawing cards. Yeah, it's Magus.